Okay, Mindlos. Perhaps the best way to start. Let me just do just a very simple introduction, but in a different way. Our discussion for today, basically, I want me and you to reflect on so many things, but we are going to try and limit our discussion at least to about 30 minutes, so that we don't make our video too long. But I want us to just reflect on a little bit on what actually is happening or has been happening. I mean, we have been listening to a lot of stories. We have been watching TV, listening to our president delivering the State of the Nation address, and subsequent to that, actually even prior or maybe also subsequent to that, there are so many things that have been flying around. For instance, the whole issue of the reaction or the response of expropriation of the land without compensation, and the things that happened immediately after that, and also the State of the Nation address itself, where the president was sounded actually to me, very defiant. I mean, to a large extent, it sounded like to me, it sounded like a second year student who just joined the political organization. And he actually even reminded me of I know many people probably they like what he was saying. I personally don't. And I had certain things that also that reminded me of Mugabe, where he was ranting and going on to things like, Trump, keep your America, we will keep, or I will keep my South Africa, things like that. And for me, I strongly feel that some of these things, they need us to reflect on these things, to say something, because what I fear most is that whatever happens, as a result of the response of poking the bear's eye, so to say, if, for instance, if you are up in arms with certain people that we are somehow reliant on economically, or we have strong economic ties. My fear is that these things, the end result of maybe their harsh response or whatever response that you end up at the end of the day, they actually don't affect politicians. They don't affect the people who make such statements. And it actually affects mostly, actually in the main, actually, let me say always, it will always affect the middle class and the people below that. Okay. So that's why I felt that maybe we need to take some time and look at this thing. And I invited you, knowing very well that you have a position on many of these things. You have your ways of looking at things. Being a pharmacist, I don't think that being a pharmacist it helps you that much. But I mean, I take a pharmacist is a scientist. It does not mean that if you are a pharmacist, you do not have better ways of looking at things for what they are. But I also know that you are an orthodox Marxist, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong along the way. So I think you have so many tools on your table or on your toolbox. You have got so many tools so, they're laughing at me. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I've said something wrong. But yeah, I know that. You once told me at some point, and being a person who has got such a education, and I'm sure you have got better tools in your toolbox to try, or maybe there's some tools to make a diagnosis of what the situation is, and perhaps maybe also assist in terms of better understanding the situation, and maybe also assist not only me and other people out there will be listening to the video in terms of understanding what is it that our president is saying or has said, and what is happening actually in the country, and how can we understand these things so that, because at the end of the day, like I've said, the people who get affected when things go wrong economically is actually the middle class, and the political elite will always live comfortably well. We have seen it even in Zimbabwe. When Mugabe, after he has actually done the mess that he did, the people who suffered there was all the other people except politicians. So I just want us to touch on those areas that I've mentioned. But specifically, can we first look at what actually Cyril Ramaphosa, or our president, whether we like it or not, he's our president, what he was saying, that we will not be bullied. I just want us to start there and reflect on that statement, because for me, that statement is very pregnant. And it needs someone to think deeper, because basically it simply means, I'm not saying we should be bullied, but that statement to me does not mean bullying. It means something else. I don't know what is your take. Just sitting on that one, and then maybe we'll move on to the other areas. Of course, I'll allow you to, to go into other areas if you want, in terms of trying to make your response more understandable. Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you, Pakos, for the introduction and of the the discussion. Interestingly, you quote about the land expropriation without compensation, which unfortunately it's that is what every people who don't understand are saying. No, Cyril didn't sign that. The ANC fundamentally rejected that. Cyril signed the old act about expropriation of land, unused land, and all that. And that's nothing radical about that. I'm surprised that people on the ground respond differently, because people on the ground, they think he has actually signed the regulations that the expropriation of land without compensation. No, he didn't sign that. The ANC rejected that. Remember, that was being pushed by the EFF, but the ANC voted against that because they didn't want it. So the issue of amendment of section 25 of the Constitution remained intact. And in fact, I listened to Nomvula Mkonana the other day. He was on this, Caesar's position. He was actually saying exactly that. Yeah. So I think what Cyril has signed, it's actually nothing new, and it's nothing radical about it. That's number one. Number two, you also categorize me as an orthodox Marxist. I reject orthodox Marxism. I reject that because it's not taking us anywhere. I rather see myself as a revolutionary Marxist, because Marx just gave guidelines, and it is our time and period and the material conditions that we must advance from the guidelines he gave us. Let's put it there. But the issue of our president saying we will not be bullied by Trump was very interesting to me, in the sense that I just consider that the State of the Nation address, it was important for the president and his GNU. And I consider that statement as just an appeasement of the audience and for the South African public to think that our president is standing head on with Trump. And I think it just showed the double standard of our president. And that's why now he is putting up a team to go and cap in hand to Trump, to try and explain to Trump, because if he was serious, he wouldn't do that. So it was just for me. It was that statement was very hollow and lacked political meaning. To be very honest, or political substance. And when he went further, even to emulate the late, radical petit bourgeois nationalist Robert Mugabe, the president of Zimbabwe, that Trump must keep his America and he will keep his South Africa, which is nothing else like a joke, so far as I'm concerned. And to actually show that it was nothing meaning anything to himself and the GNU. That is why now they are putting up a team. I'm not sure whether you are aware that is going to go to America. I saw the Reverend Frank Chikane, talking about that to go and explain what the signing of the expropriation, the Land Expropriation Act meant, and as well as because Cyril Bakos. That's why even some of the left feel that Cyril has moved to the left. Remember last year, I think he signed the NHI Act. He also signed the Bella Act, which his partners in the GNU, the DA, is against. But to some people, because they don't even understand what the NHI is supposed to mean, to be very honest, when I've listened to many analysts, they think the NHI in itself, the National Insurance, Health Insurance, is a good thing, but it depends how the gist of it is, the practicality, the implementation of it, how it's going to be done. Now, these are the problems that we have with a government that is fundamentally capitalist in all for all intents and purposes. They seem not to know exactly what to do, but they must continue to keep the left in check as well as the right, appease both sides, and that's what they're doing, because the NHI, the manner in which it's being said here, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to deliver anything to our people. It remain hollow. The mere fact that the private healthcare is still there, and then there is a national healthcare there, it means nothing. When you talk about a system that is actually radical change to what we are talking about, everybody belonging to the same system, the contribution, the wealthy, fundamentally subsidizing the majority. Well, that's about the NHI, which many people think that Cyril has moved to the left because of that. And the Bella Act also, it's nothing really radical about it, because it doesn't, it's just that it moves away from the fact that people must go to schools that are reserved for certain people. Well, that's for me, that's neither here or there, because as long as education, it's tired. There's a private education and public education. We haven't moved anywhere. Once we can talk about a proper system that is genuinely aimed at transforming this country, we must have one education system, we must have one healthcare system for everybody. Everybody must go through the same system. That is when we say we have moved towards transformation. Now, the issue of Trump keeping his America and we keeping our country, for me, it's a response to Trump's action that he cuts off the HIV AIDS in South Africa or in many countries because of what is happening. Now, that response means that now we must cover, I'm told it's 17% AIDS, the US AIDS for HIV. it means now our budget must cover that. But for me, to be very honest, it's just South Africans, from the ruling class, and as well as the middle class and the ordinary people. Well, the ordinary people are always victims of what the ruling class and the middle classes are doing. The fact of the matter is we need to understand what is the US AIDS. US AIDS has nothing to do with aiding South Africans. US AIDS is actually properly is the system to ensure the security of the USA throughout the world. Now in Africa in particular, so that the ordinary people think Americans are aiding us. We survive because of American, and which is the biggest crap anyway. So I will be very clear on this that from as a Marxist, I do not see the US aids doing anything to help our people. In fact, it is good that Trump has cut that. And in fact, the US aids, some of us for the past 10 years, you know that I was working in the public sector.
Yeah,
Each time when they were talking about the US aids, I used to march out of any meeting because I reject that. I think it's a manner to make us stooges, to make us completely immobile, and to make us as a country to depend on the American unipolar vision of the world. You see, the
yeah,
US aids is fundamentally to ensure that the US or the United States of America maintains a unipolar world under the American radar. That is what it is. It is not about helping South Africans at all. And it should, for me, it should have been rejected long ago. We should never have accepted this thing. Anybody, we're getting, whatever countries are helping us, they have not made it such as the US aid, because the US aid is fundamentally to keep us under check all the time. So my only concern is that we haven't had a government that is serious about transforming the country, which is serious about changing the conditions of our people at its own resources, at its own basis, and the government has failed to do the fundamental thing to actually ensure that it runs a system that creates employment, so that there's tax collection, which can advance and develop our healthcare system, our education system, our infrastructure, everything. They've failed. Now you would realize that on Wednesday, we were supposed to listen to the statement, the budget of the country. And that meeting was postponed because there was no agreements. And it will shock many people that the ANC is the one that was suggesting that the VAT must increase by 2%. And, which is a move to the right. If you remember very well, Pakos, that in 1989, when the government was increasing VAT to 14%, there were serious marches in the country. We fought against that very, very strongly. Marches all over, we rejected that completely. But the government of the National Party enforced it. It went to 14%. But it has been in 14% for many, many years. Mandela came in, Thabo Mbeki came in, Zuma came in, kept it at 14%. Cyril Ramaphosa, the first time he comes in, he increases it to 15%. Now he wants to increase it to 17%. And it's an irony that it is the DA that seemed to be against that. But I wouldn't want to go there because the DA is just wanting to sound that it's got the interest of the masses, which has got other things. And I don't even have any issue about that. I don't care about that. But the fact of the matter is that the ANC under Cyril Ramaphosa On the Facebook the other day, I commented that the ANC under Cyril Ramaphosa has moved to the right, and some people quoted the NHI, the Bella Act that Cyril has signed this, therefore he's not moving to right. I'm surprised. I wonder those people what they are saying now, that the ANC under serious poverty that is taking place in the country, he wants the ordinary people to pay 17% VAT, when in fact even the commissioner, the SARS commissioner, was saying the problem is not that, the problem is the tax collection that is the problem. So suggesting that there must be more funding to SARS so that it can improve its efficiency in collecting tax. That would, rather than to increase VAT, because VAT is not going to help us anyway, but it's going to hit on the poor very much. So that is my summary in terms of what Cyril was saying about America, Trump and him keeping us. It's not genuine. It's not genuine. It's very hollow, and it's a sign of hypocrisy and double standards, because they remain tied to American and imperialist system. So that's what I would simply sum it to be, that it's not genuine. That statement, whether it's based on trying to appease South Africans, but at the same time going back after them, running back to Trump to try and say to Trump, no, this and that we are not doing. Whilst here he sounds very radical and left wing.
Yeah, no, thanks for that summary response. Yeah, just to add on what you are saying about that bluff, because I really call it a bluff that Cyril actually was showing to us, is that he was, and I think he has managed to do that. He was playing tough guy, and he managed to manipulate somehow quite a number of people, because what he actually did by saying so, he says, we will keep our South Africa and keep your America. He sounded like a tough guy. Also, he pulled in quite a lot of people in that emotional kind of a statement to make people not to stop thinking, instead run with emotions that, yeah, we're being attacked by Trump. We're being attacked by Trump. So we stand as South Africans. We're together now. You understand? And then now in that in that space, they tend to forget now all the nonsense that he's actually doing with his guys, and they say, "Yeah, we stand as South Africans now." So I think somehow he managed to do that, and I can see a lot of people, for instance, in the social media, yeah, now Trump is full of shit. Trump is like this. Trump is like that. They forget what actually the cause of the problem is, and I mean on that score, I 100% agree with you. He was just bluffing, and but he succeeded in doing that, because what I've observed over time is that many people in South Africa, they don't pause a little bit to think about things. They just take things. If many people are saying something, and then most of the people, as long as they have many people who are saying something, and it sounds like something that is said by many people, then to them, you don't have to even think twice. You must just accept it as good and truth and move with it. That's it. So I think he has managed somehow, to create that wave, and I think somehow it's working. I don't know how long it's going to last, but for now, it's actually working, because it looks like everyone is demonizing Trump. Coming to Trump, and I like your honesty, because in the first place, there was no need for us as South Africa or Africa as a whole to actually rely on anybody, because we have got so much. We don't need anybody. We just need ourselves. Of course, I'm not saying we don't have to trade with people. We need to trade with people. But what you are saying, actually, that's exactly my reading of the situation, that this US aid, all this PEP for this nonsense that they're doing, we don't need all that. We have enough to look after ourselves if we can just manage our country properly. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And now, can you imagine how embarrassing this is? I mean, it's embarrassing to me. I don't know, to a person who takes himself seriously. Maybe if you think you're a serious politician, your president or the president goes out there and say, keep your America, I'll keep my South Africa, or keep our South Africa. Then after that, then you send an envoy now to say, no, let us explain what we meant. I mean, that's stupidity to me. I would never, never do that. You know, if I say keep your America, you keep your America, and then I do my thing, you know. But now, suddenly now, there's Reverend Chikani just goes and pulls some pastor somewhere. I don't know if he's retired as a pastor or what. Maybe they heard that Donald Trump is a Christian. Maybe is going to pull this Christian trick that they are going to sit and pray together. I don't know what kind of a trick that he's trying to play. And I laughed the other day. I think it was Rob Hersoff and said, maybe Cyril, no, maybe it's not Rob, I forget, but someone said Cyril is a golf player, and Donald Trump is also a golf player. Maybe if they can just sit around in a golf course, they can sort this thing out. I'm like, bullshit, man. How can a guy come and say he wants to keep his South Africa and now he wants to play golf and talk shit? You understand? So, no, I honestly agree with you. These guys, they don't know what they are doing. They don't know whether they are coming or they don't know where they are going. Now, look, the USA aid, again, just to focus on it, it has been a problematic fund. This is actually, well, to me, it started well in the days of when it started, it was to try and neutralize communism, you know, and then they were looking at all the other countries to try and exist everywhere to push back on communism. But it changed. It became something else. It actually started overthrowing regimes. It started, being a CIA tool to actually be there, exist there, tell them that we are here to treat their aids, but actually we are gathering information for all these USA organizations. So I feel good when they say, well, it's gone, let it go, because I believe that definitely we don't need people who will be having our eyes and ears in our country, all in the name of assisting us, when actually we are not being assisted. In fact, we are being slaughtered, you know. And having said that, I don't think there's a country, especially with these superpowers, I don't think there's a country, and I want to hear what you say on that one, because I don't think there's a country that does not put its interests first. And in this day and age, every country, when it actually puts its interests first, I mean, even China is doing that, is putting its interests first. Is that it's playing the game differently? Even Russia has got its interest, but the game is played a bit differently. I don't think there's a country that does not have intelligence structures that exist in each and every country. So whether you are looking at Russia, you are looking at China, you are looking at India, every country has got its own intelligence that makes sure that it understands what is going on in each and every country. So there's no doubt about that, that even if America were to go and we push them out with their funds and what, they'll always have their tentacles in each and every country in the world. Same applies to China, Russia, everybody. I don't know how strong we are in that area, but I don't see us being very strong. South Africa has become weaker and weaker day by day, month by month, year by year, and decade by decade. So we're basically nothing. We're small boys in the bigger game of things. So I just want to find out from you what you think about, because I know why Cyril, for instance, is saying the things that he's saying. He feels that he actually is stronger with Russia. He's stronger with China. So he's safe, even if I know me and you, we agree it's a bluff. But I think that bluff also comes from the angle that says, look, if America doesn't like us, we've got partners. We've got Russia. We've got China. We've got Iran now. You know, we've got all these other people, and all these people who are actually in the main anti-America. So I just want to zoom in with you there to say, how do we see this? Because now my worry is that we're aligning ourselves here, with a very undemocratic regimes. Okay, Russia, there's no democracy in Russia. There's no democracy in China. There's no democracy in Iran. You see, there's no democracy in North Korea, which is very, very, very close and to China. So I get worried now and again when I see our pro-democracy regime or pro-democracy government feeling or aligning itself with people or coming very close to people who do not believe in democracy the way we believe in democracy. So I just want to you to just zoom in there and just take me to confidence to say no. Maybe that's not the truth. What I'm saying, or I'm seeing maybe something else.
Okay, no, thank you, Bakos, for uh, what your comment on this. But I think fundamentally, we need. There are many distortions, and firstly, no matter how bitter or how radical or people can sound or countries can sound against Trump and all that, I, as a revolutionary as socialist, I strongly believe that the only people who can stop racism, ultra right wing, attack on the working class and the poor. It's only one group. Is the democratic revolution of the working class and the poor. And until that is in place, we will continue to point fingers left, right, and center. And on the issue of democracy, uh, I'm afraid to say that the countries you have quoted, of course, there's no democracy, but of course, there's no democracy in America. There's no democracy anywhere in the world as we speak. Democracy doesn't mean something that happens after 4 years or after 5 years or after 3 years. That's not democracy. That's just a parliamentary uh, bourgeois democracy to bluff the people that they are democratic. But that makes no difference. Democracy is something that must be practiced on daily basis at the factory floor, in the houses, in the street, everywhere. That's what democracy means. And that is why, as Marxists, we continue to fight for worker democracy because we believe sincerely that democracy will only be seen once there is the democratic revolution to take over countries under socialism with one international working class leading the world. That's the only way that we can have democracy. And that's why you correct. Cyril may think that at least because of BRICS, because I hear many, particularly the middle class in our country, they are so excited about BRICS. I'm sorry to say that there's nothing in BRICS, and people can. I know, people will say this guy is talking nonsense, but the fact of the matter is this: what kind of, because unless there is democracy, a bottom line, unless the democratic right to workers to decide at the factory floor, to decide at the manufacturing companies, to decide everywhere in life, we cannot talk about democracy. Any system, the BRICS thing is just to try and create a multipolar world which tries to offset the American position of unipolar world, where particularly the North is controlling the South. That's what BRICS is. But BRICS does not bring democracy to the working class, right? And as a revolutionary socialist, I have no track with the BRICS, no the all what I am saying to you now is that Cyril, no matter how much he may feel confident about BRICS, is correct to do so because Cyril is a bourgeoisie. He's part of the ruling class. And the democracy that is taking place today is about the interests of the ruling class. 5 years down the line, we must have election. The election, all what the bourgeois elections do is to actually say, we want you to choose a next another bourgeois party to run to rule us for another 5 years, and let's see maybe better our condition. But fundamentally, it's not democracy whatsoever. It is not. Democracy must be practiced every day in and day out. That is what the kind of democracy that we as socialists are fighting for. So therefore, uh, Trump and Cyril with their BRICS and whatever is taking place, it's not the working class and the poor must not look upon BRICS as a solution to their problem. The working class must go down and build their organization, the organization that will fight the bourgeoisie of their own country. Because here's are the facts. It is the bourgeoisie of your own country that suppresses and oppresses you. So therefore, you must fight to defeat the bourgeoisie of your country. Do not hope for any answer. Do not hope for any better of life under any bourgeois government. So our position is that it doesn't matter. As long as we fail to build an organization of the working class that will fight the system, then we can as well fold our hands and accept that what the bourgeoisie are doing, it's good because we support them. Look at the past election. Before the election, look at their manifestos, and they were telling people all sorts of things. Today, they formed the government of national unity. That government of national unity has forgotten about all the manifestos. They are busy trying to massage among the parties amongst themselves. They have forgotten about the poor and the working class. But who has voted them in? It's the working class and the poor. Same with Trump. Trump has been voted by the working class and the poor of America. But what Trump is doing now is exactly what is in the interest of the wealthy. Same with here. We voted. Unfortunately, the electorate made sure that the people, no party gets an outright majority. So they formed what they formed. But that government has got nothing to do with the interests of the working class and the poor. So my take on what's taking place today in the world, it's a clear indication for me that bourgeois electoral system is continuously failing to deliver to the interest of the poor and the working class. And the bourgeois election are constantly showing that they have become irrelevant completely because they do not give us any option to actually have better work where we decide democratically how to produce and how to trade, the trade and the exchange on trade and all that. We don't decide. Our duty is just to produce. Once we produce, the ruling class take over and then they do whatever they want to do. But 5 years down the line, we are called upon to elect another party of the bourgeoisie to run our life. But as long as we fail to build a revolutionary organizations that can actually fight and defeat the bourgeoisie, we must just accept that we will live under this undemocratic system, which, of course, I know the mainstream media call it democracy, but as far as I understand democracy, this is not democracy. Democracy cannot come once after 5 years. That's not democracy.
Yeah, well, obviously, I understand very well where you come from. You are a revolutionary Marxist. That is what I would expect from a revolutionary Marxist. And me being not a revolutionary Marxist, I've got my own ways of looking at what I would call a democracy. For instance, uh, what you call democracy to me, the dictatorship of the workers, or what you would say, the workers' revolution, overthrowing the bourgeoisie system, to me can be a very scary thing, because I I understand what you mean differently from what a typical Marxist would understand. I would be very worried to have workers dictating to everybody and saying because they are workers. I want my freedom of movement, my freedom of speech, my freedom of association. I want my freedom of choice. I want a free market system. I want to be what I want to be. I don't want somebody else to tell me what I should be. For me, therefore, it becomes undemocratic if there's going to be a group of people who are going to decide what is it that I must get, what I must produce, how I must produce it. I can find that very, very uncomfortable. And I don't think I can put up with that. And I'm one of those people who would really defy that kind of a system and organize against it. And obviously, from a revolutionary point of view, that I would be definitely called a traitor, and I would have to be eliminated. That's one person who is not going to exist in that kind of an environment. I will be killed, actually. But having said that, I also respect the fact that when you have got, you have got two devils, a person would always choose the better devil. And now I wonder, because we have seen history has taught us quite a lot of things here. And you don't have to be a historian, or maybe, yeah, let me say so, to actually understand history. There's quite a lot of history material these days. Unlike before, people had to go and, spend years and studying history. These days, you can study history in weeks. You can understand history because we have got so much access to information. If you look back through history, I mean, there's so many sources of information these days. There is no indication that this utopia, where the workers will be in charge, dictating democracy. And we don't see how this democracy is going to be structured. Is it democracy that is going to just exist and not being managed by anybody? Or there will be also government by consent? Are the people going to appoint people who are going to govern them, just like we have now? It means we still have an electoral systems of some form or the other. Or is it just going to be a democracy where people sort of agree all the time, that this is how things should be done, how decisions will be taken? So for me, I mean, I still have to be schooled quite a lot on that one to understand it better, how it's going to work. Because at the end of the day, we cannot all of us take decisions on anything. It's difficult. People don't have the same intellectual capacity. We don't understand things the same. There are people who are intelligent than others. It's a fact. There are those, for instance, who are born leaders, or those who have manufactured themselves as leaders, who believe that instead of working, they must spend most of their time organizing the society and assisting the society to do certain things. And we've seen that throughout history. That's the truth. That's the name of the game. So, but anyway, I don't want us to. Maybe we'll have another day for that. I just wanted to point out that when I talk about democracy myself, I'm talking about those freedoms that I've mentioned to you. If there's regular elections and I've got a right to choose the people who can actually govern or rule the country, or who can be leaders. As long as I've given consent to that, I call that democracy. Maybe you may not call it democracy. And the fact that I can choose where to live, how to live, what to produce, what not to produce, what to do with my life. If I want to play guitar, I want to be an artist tomorrow, nobody must tell me, no, I must go to work. If I don't want to work, I don't want to work, period. That's it. So, but anyway, it can be a very difficult topic. I think once touched on it at some point, but I would love us to go back to it again and revisit. But for today, I thought that maybe let us focus. I'll allow you to say something, maybe, because I don't want to be unfair to you, not to respond to what I've just said. But I want us to focus on the things that I thought that would be very important for people to really clearly understand what is actually going on. Let us look at this expropriation, because we started with it when we opened up this discussion. So I want us to look at, there are certain things that are worrying me and that are worrying other people. Okay. On that expropriation of land without compensation. Okay. The fact that, for instance, and there are examples already that have happened where you could see that any government official or any group of government officials within that act, they can actually go and take the land and without compensation, and not in the public interest. Because like you are saying correctly, so that there is a provision in the constitution that the land can be expropriated in the public interest. I think there are two conditions: public interest, and I forgot the other one, but I'll remember right now, very soon. Well, there can be compensation which can actually be derived from the formula, and there's quite a lot of push and pull there as to when did you acquire the land, how did you acquire the land, and so forth. Are you using the land, and so forth. It's not only the land that is unused, like you are saying. I did look at the act. It's not this act, even the one that Cyril Ramaphosa has signed. It does not only deal with the land that is unused. It deals with the land that is also used. Because if you go there, in fact, I'll bring, if maybe our next session, I'm going to bring in the act itself, and then we can discuss it line by line or section by section, paragraph by paragraph. And then we look at that, then we see some of the things that are provided for there. The government can actually take the land, even if that land is actually being used, is productive. There is something there that also provides for that. And then also what I saw, there's also a chance that you may be paid, or you may not be compensated, or sometimes you may be compensated. But there is a risk that you may find yourself actually going to court and spending a lot of money trying to get out of the problem. Now, the other thing, because I want you to say something on that one, that I picked up as well, was that there is a general understanding that this is what this act is talking about. It's talking about the land that is on the hands of the white people. But my understanding is that it's talking about expropriation of any land if it's in the public interest. It's not necessarily the land that is on the hands of the white people. It means if it is in the public interest of taking the land that belongs to Ingonyama Trust, for instance, that land can be taken, you know. So on that one, that expropriation, there was also something very ugly. I think I sent you that video where I saw people, like you correctly say, that it can be misinterpreted by wrongly interpreted by other people who can just go there and start grabbing the land, like it happened in Limpopo. There is an example, just a recent one, where the people grabbed the land. 5,000 people got settled there. and they took the land. They said they are already implementing expropriation of the land without compensation, right here in Limpopo. And here are the South Africans saying, no, there's nothing like that. There's no people who are taking the land from anybody. But of course, on that one, I agree. I heard that that land is actually, it's a private land, private owned, but it's not being used. It's just been lying there unused. However, the municipality or the local authorities condemned the act, but they are not doing anything. People are settling there. You know why? Because it belongs to a private individual. And most likely, okay, I'm not saying if it belonged to a black person, that would not happen. But in that case, it most likely belongs to a white guy. They have actually invaded even the land that belongs to black people. So it's not a white thing only. Also, they do invade land that belongs to black people. But it was interesting for me to hear that the municipality has sent out a stern warning to say to those people, should they start invading, because there's another portion that belongs to the municipality, the municipality will take a serious action against them. So that was sort of very interesting that if it's a private property, well, no police, nobody's going to go in there. And then these people are settling as we're talking now, 5,000 of them. And then, and then there's also another example. I don't know if you have heard about, I think it was Akar Farm, that some of these guys in the land, whatever, restitution, those committees, they actually wanted to take that land. And you can see it's a beautiful farm, a highly productive farm that belongs to the Stern camps. And then they wanted to take that land. And you can see that they wanted to take that land for themselves, not for the people, you see. So I'm coming back to this thing of public interest. It's a smoke screen. I don't see anything that suggests that there is public interest in this country, at least. And especially when I look at what these politicians have been doing and what they are doing. And my suspicion is that when they actually talk this expropriation, it's just expropriation of, they will be targeting certain portions of the land for themselves, not to the benefit of the people. And also, lastly, I wonder what states we have, but it doesn't look good, because there were people who were given farms. Many people were given farms. They were given land. And what I've observed is that generally, even people who are born from rural areas, people don't want to farm. People don't want, people want money. They want to work. They don't want this thing of, because to work the land, you wake up in the morning, 4 o'clock, you must be awake. And you probably sleep middle of the night, because it's not an easy thing. And you must, in my view, you must have been born in that environment. And it must be something that you have been doing. Funny enough, what I see now when I'm in those is that even people who are born in rural areas don't want to stay there. Even the politicians themselves who are born in rural areas, they don't want to stay there. They want to come to Gauteng. That's why they are staying in Sentin. They literally want to be associated with Gauteng, not the rural areas where they come from. So you can see that it's a new phenomenon. Actually, this thing, people want to be urbanized. They don't want to be staying and producing food in the rural areas. The people who have always been prepared to do that were the Afrikaners. And that's why you'll find them, the Burki boys, they are staying there in the farms. They eat biltong, they make their biltong, they go and get the beans from their farm, they supply us with food. So I'm saying these things just to sort of, paint a picture that generally black people are not looking for the land. It's not true. What black people are looking for, they are looking for job opportunities. They want money. They want to live in the suburbs. They want they want to move on. They don't want to be working the land in the rural areas. It's not true. I think the people who want the land and they want it for themselves is the politicians. It's not the people. If you were to go and ask the people around, nobody's looking for the land. Go and do just a study yourself, a research. Just interview people one by one. Ask them, do you want the land? People will tell you, no, I don't want that thing. You see, people, what they want, or they want, to work. They want businesses, and remember, people also want to work smart now. They don't want to actually be trapped in the in the rural areas and working the land, like the most of the farmers do. So I don't know what you have to say about that. Just on this expropriation, because I've said a lot of things. I've queried the whole idea of saying it's only unused land. I've queried that, and I'm asserting that the black people in general don't want the land. They want jobs. They want businesses. They want you know to live in the suburbs. They want to live a good life. They don't want to go and work hard, then sleep, wake up at 4, sleep at 12 o'clock midnight. No, that's not what they want generally. And you can do that study yourself. You'll be surprised that actually that's the that's the situation. So I see the politicians looking for the land for themselves. I don't know if maybe I'm smoking my socks again.
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you. The lengthy, issue it buckles, but before I come to the issue of expropriation, I think it's fundamentally important. It's critically important that I
Right.
address the issue of democracy, because I've heard you ranting on. I just need to, you see, one thing that I need to explain very clear, because that's one issue that probably because we do not have an active organization of the working class that wants to win people to support the working class movement. Maybe that's why there's so much distortion. I've heard you talking, because what we have actually said about the workers' dictatorship and all that, it's nothing else but the crap that we have been taught at school and in the churches everywhere. Our system of education. Let me explain to you, because I will explain as a Marxist. Marx never said we want the dictator or a government of the working class, a permanent government of the working class dictating. No, that is un-Marxist. Marxists are saying, at the present moment as we speak, you and me, we are talking about the dictatorship of bourgeois democracy. That is why you and me have been understanding that, because probably in Russia or in China, the election is only there as a formality to elect the same person to run. But we, in the Americans, the British, and all that, there is a party election every 5 years or 4 years. A new party comes in. We've been taught of that every 5 years, and that's what that's the democracy we go around and say it's democracy, and we condemn, because we have been taught that socialists are talking about authoritarian dictatorship. There's no such nonsense, right? Let me speak as a Marxist to defend the revolutionary dictatorship of the working class. What we are saying is this: is that we need to, when we defeat the bourgeoisie, there will be a government of the working class, which we call the dictatorship of the proletariat. And we are saying actually that will be there. It's a transitional period, because until the classes in society have been smashed and undermined, we will continue to have a government of a certain class. But the process of the dictatorship of the proletariat is to actually eliminate class divisions in society, so that we move to communism. In communism, it's actually what you actually have just said, is the democracy that you have beautifully talked about, where you are free to play a guitar, you don't want to work, you are free to do that. That's a communist state. And that is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for the dictatorship of the proletariat as a transitional government to communism. As long as the classes are there, that government is going to be there. But do everything possible to eliminate classes in society, so that we know we are in a society where, from everybody, right, we expect that person to contribute his or her ability. And to everybody, we expect that the person must be given according to the needs. In other words, from everybody according to the ability, and to everybody according to the needs. That's what we have been talking, that you have said. I've listened to you carefully. But you do not understand that what we are talking about is actually communism. You understand? And that is what the revolution of the working class is attempting to do. But for us to be able to do that, we need to build a revolutionary organization that can mobilize the working class to fundamentally eliminate a capitalist society. But again, there's a misnomer that a revolution means killing people. There's no such, right? Revolution, it depends on the resistance of the ruling class. If there is the ruling class resists the will of the people, then life will be lost. I mean, have you ever checked the history of the Russian Revolution? That because so far that's the only working class revolution that has ever taken place in the world.
No, I know the Bolsheviks.
Yes, the Bolsheviks. How many people were killed? No, it's not about violence, but people create impression to children. They indoctrinate their children that revolution will kill people. Will do. No, it is the work that needs to be done by the revolutionary party is to actually make people support the revolution. In other words, when people are saying we now have realized that the bourgeois government is failing and the tens of millions of people say we're closing the freeways, we're closing the factories. Who are they killing there? They are not killing anybody. They are taking the factories so that they can be used to transform society. The issue of violence is just to scare people. And everybody in a communist society will be free to do what he or she wants. You understand? But the issue of victimization of gays and lesbians and all this will be gone. And the issue of victimization of that certain people must be exploited to produce, yet they don't contribute in the determination of the prices of those things, whilst their labor has been exploited, will be gone. So we will talk about that when we come. I was just responding to you because we're talking about expropriation. I was just trying to give a clear, because until people understand what a revolution is about, people will always be scared of a revolution, and will always be scared about authoritarian. The dictatorship of the proletariat has got nothing to do with authoritarianism at all. In fact, we reject that completely, because we cannot fight against bourgeois democracy to implement workers anti-democracy. We cannot do that. We still believe that the democracy of the working class is the true democracy that will be experienced by everybody in life. But you and me have been indoctrinated from school, in the churches, everywhere. That is a reality, and that's what an organization of the working class will. The tough task that stands on the road of the revolution is to win people, to actually eliminate all the propaganda, pollution about working class. We need to do that. Until we get an organization, we will continue to have this problem. Now let's come to this issue of expropriation. I'm glad that you have quoted the issue of Limpopo. I saw you sent me the video. I saw the video. I actually fist up, power to the people. It's correct. People are doing it because people need the land. And the government have denied the people the land. And the ordinary people, once Cyril signed the thing, to them, he has given them right. They actually say, because the EFF spoke about expropriation without compensation. So when Cyril signs that thing, the Expropriation Act, the people on the ground simply think that this is now time for them to take the land without compensation. And I salute the people. I salute the masses because that's what they need to do. And I want to correct one thing that we in the middle class seem to completely distort. I can tell you now, people want the land, and they want the land massively. But the problem is this: the oppressed in the working class, particularly the black working class, have never been taught how to use the land, because they were seen as laborers to be exploited on the farms, and that's why they're running away. All what they know is it's a tough life in the rural areas, and that tough life has been imposed on them by the farmers, the white farmers, the poor kids who are there exploiting them every day. Like you say, 4 o'clock in the field and then sleeping at 12 o'clock, no working hours, nothing. No, the salaries completely exploitative salaries, and that's what has created hate on the farms. But a government, it's important for me to explain this. The present government is a bourgeois government. The ANC government since 1994 has dismally failed to transform the country. The government that took place in 1994, the fact of the matter is, whether people like it or not, is that it was just a change of color, a change of the National Party by the ANC. Everything remains intact. The bulls in the farms continue to exploit black people. And whether it's in the factories but in the farms it's worse. The life conditions there is horrible. And that is why from ourselves as socialists, we're saying, until we develop the rural areas so that everybody who wants to go and farm must be happy to do so, people will continue to run away from the farms, because presently they are being exploited. And everybody in life, it's natural. Everybody in life like a better life. So people will definitely move from the rural areas and run to the cities, to crowd the cities. And people, until they've got the skills, they will not, whether they are given, once they're given farms, they have to choose between the farm and the money. They will take the money because they want to take the money, run to the city, and then stay there. And the conditions even in the cities are not well, because look at the shacks that are there. People are building shacks. Now you send me that video you send me. What are the people doing there? People are going to put shacks. And what even hurts me, when they put the yards, they are giving themselves small yards. Doesn't make sense. It's because a black person has been conditioned that he stays in a very cramped area. Those people are supposed to say, right, here we have actually expropriated this land. Guys, let's sit down. We must at least make sure that one stand, we give an individual a stand of 520 square meters, so that the person can build a house that's better. And then, but once we have done all that, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, who can assist us to actually get tractors and all that, to put the infrastructure, in other words, to put the sewer, to put everything, the streets and everything. Then we start building. But because we have done that, that is what is needed. And the reason why that is not there is because you and me, the middle class, scorn our people. You understand? We are not there to help. But the expropriation of the land, for me, is victory. It's important, and we must support it. But when we support it, we must make sure that we do the right thing. We build better, we give ourselves better stands, so that we can, when we have time, we have money, we can build better houses. That is one. Two, the issue of using the land, expropriated land for farming. The government failed on its fundamental responsibility. In 1994, if this government was a government of the poor, of the poor, the government would have made sure that they go to primary schools and high schools and say, those who want to do agriculture, to do farming, we will take them to, if we don't have those schools in the country, we would have taken them to other friendly countries like Cuba and all these other countries, Russia, to train them, so that when people come back, when their parents get the land that was given to them, they are there to make sure that the land is utilized properly to produce food that can feed the nation. That has not been done. So therefore, it is wrong for you and me to say people don't want staying in farm. It's not. It's because people are being prosecuted there. People are being abused by the present system. So until the system has changed, people will continue to be seen as if they're running away from the farms. I can tell you now, myself personally, now, yes, yeah. If I had money, I had the skills, I would go and I've got a farm, I would go and produce food, because we need food. Food security is important for us. We need to make sure that we don't become hungry tomorrow. And that can only be done by, we're in the majority. That's a reality. Black people are in the majority. And the only people who can get hungry, it's us. Look at our children going to school, walking to schools and all. It's a sad story. So I disagree with you when you say people don't want farms. No, it's because they don't have the knowledge. People have got no knowledge of how to use the farms, and that's the reason what is happening. And do you want to tell me that people can actually choose to come and stay in the shacks that people are staying in the urban areas? Because the life in the urban areas for Black people is a misery. They are staying in shacks. When the rain comes in, it washes away all those corrugated irons, or it's a mess. When there's a fire, so many shacks get burned. Is that a life? No, it can't be. So let's put a proper scientific analysis of what is happening in our country and ask ourselves what needs to be done. Unfortunately, a bourgeois society doesn't have time for that. They have time to exploit people, the workers. You and me, those of us who are socialists, have got a responsibility to do that. That's how I put it.
Yeah. No, thanks. I understand you, and I wish what you are saying was always holding as the truth. You see, I once spent about 4 years in rural areas where my father was born, and I hated that 4 years because I realized that those people there, they were doing nothing else but they were working hard. Let me tell you, we had hectares and hectares of land, okay? And you would wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you, there was everything there, sheep, cows, horses, everything. But let me tell you something, you work there. That's one thing that you know. Before you go to school, you would have worked from 4 o'clock. The school starts at 8. By the time you go to school, you already feel happy. And when you come back from school, you're still gonna work. Weekends, there was no time. So I'm not talking about people who are working. I never worked in a farm. I never grew up under a Burki boy, like some of these guys who were working in the farms. In fact, where my father was born, we didn't have Burkis. We had black people there who were owning big hectares of land. They were wealthy. But the problem is that I noticed something. And they were producing everything for themselves. I'm talking about oil. They were making their oil. They used to call it dripping. They were doing anything, biltong. They were doing everything. They had milk, everything. They were not buying anything from the shop except for maybe sugar, things like that, or coffee or tea. But most of the things they were producing. And then that was still under apartheid regime, right? And it was the homeland system, right? And then because that area was, before it was under KZN, it was actually under Transkei, all right? And I can tell you the work ethic there was so high, like you couldn't believe it. Women, men, boys, everybody was working, but they were still going to school. there was there was a traditional values, there was culture, there was everything, there was the authority of the parents. You know, I mean, there I was staying with my grandmother and my grandfather. So, Mindlos, my dad, I was born in Davidton because my dad had to move from that place to come and look for work. And he started working in railways. That's how he ended up buying a house. He got married to this site and so forth. And then now, me coming from this area and going to rural areas to spend that 4 years there, and I realized that, hey, this is not the place where I can stay. You know, I was looking forward to every second day to leave this place. And I noticed that actually even most of the people who grew up there, they always, because I always wondered why my father doesn't want to go back there, you know, and work like those people. Then I said, there's something. And I realized why. Because generally human beings, they want, by nature, they want to work less and less whenever possible. That's the nature of human beings. You cannot trap human beings on a lot of hard labor work. No, they're always thinking tomorrow. That's why they develop technology. You understand? That's why you develop technology. If you are using cows, for instance, to plow, you will develop technology to use tractors so that you work less and less. You want to work smart. That's the trend. That's why people move from rural areas. They move to urban areas. That's why it happened even in the Industrial Revolution, where the white people in Britain, they had to move. Most of them, 2/3 moved from the rural areas to the urban areas because of Industrial Revolution. They didn't want to. Yes, of course, you are right. There are other people who were exploited by the landowners and whatever, but there were people who were owning the land as well. Just like I'm telling you now, I was not a peasant. My parents were never peasants. They were not peasants. Where I visited, I stayed there for 4 years. We didn't have peasants. We had people who were owning the land. That's what was happening. So this peasant thing, in fact, in South Africa, I don't know if it's true that we had peasants. I mean, we just have some people who are getting exploited there. But otherwise, we don't have a general large population of peasants like we had in Europe. We don't have that. So people, they own land, they abandon it because it's hard work. And besides that, Mindlos, there's something else I observed as well. I don't have empirical evidence in terms of having collected, having done some research and collect statistics, but just by observation, is that farming, as it improves, remember, anybody who is doing some form of farming, you have got to move away from subsistence farming where you and your family are just eating and living well. You also want to trade because you have got to take children to school. You understand? You have got to sell some goods in the market. So what does that mean? It means you must start now investing on what? You must invest on technology. And the technology, you cannot invest on technology if you don't have school. And where do you get better education? Generally, we know ourselves. Of course, you are right that this government did not invest in the rural areas 100%, because there was no reason for people in rural areas to actually migrate to the cities to access better education or have access to schools. Those things should have been done there. But the fact of the matter, they have not been done. They were not done. Now, you need to invest on those things. And then you need to invest on technology. You can have the land, but if you don't have the technology to actually work the land, you have a big problem. And technology is what? Is money. A country that does not have money cannot do those programs, those rural programs. You understand? And there are many ways, there are many reasons why we don't have money. And one of those reasons is corruption. That the black people, they steal. In Mina, I actually say they don't steal profit, they steal the stock. You know, the politicians, these politicians, they steal stock. You know, when you steal stock, you are a problem. You know why I respect white people? White people, they were stealing profit. They were going first to make money and say how much profit we have made, and they steal the profit. But you find that the services are running. That's why even black people were living a better life under our apartheid than they are living now, because our guys, they steal the stock. So now this is the problem that we have. So now I'm not talking about people who are working, who are running away because they are abused in the farms. I'm talking about people who own the land in the rural areas. They are here, and why they are staying in shacks, Mindlos, is because At least the guy wakes up in the morning, he goes to a person who is owning a factory, and then he works there. At the end of the month, he has got hard cash that he can pay school fees for the children. He can take some of the money to rural areas because there's no money there. You see, that's the problem that we're having. That's the truth. You understand? I can do some research if you want me to provide statistics on anything. Maybe there are people who have done crunch some numbers. I can, but just on the simple observation, that's the truth. Now, here's the thing. Now, if, for instance, you have a Sheikh dweller, these people who are doing whatever, building anywhere, they find that life better. It's not that if it was not better for them, I'm not talking about me and you. Me and you, we know it's not good. But they find it better than where they come from because there they were supposed to work very, very hard. And they don't have what they need to actually start working smart. So, because the government does not provide that. Now, come to this thing that you're saying of those people who invaded that land, that what they were supposed to do to give themselves 520 square meters. Granted, you give yourself 520 square meters. Who's going to invest there? Who's going to put the money there? Even me and you, we cannot help them. It's not that we're scorning those people. But the thing is, there's nobody. If you invade, you go and grab the land, Mindlos. What you have done is that you have reduced that land's value to zero. It has got no value. Because you cannot tell us where did you get this land? You just grabbed it. And then it means basically that land was zeroed. Immediately, those people invaded and grabbed that land is zero. The values. Now you call somebody to come and put infrastructure there to service the land, the government, maybe the government can do that. Now, here's the thing. If our people are going to continue this way, I am telling you very soon, and I know you disagree with me, which I appreciate, because at least you put me on my toes. And is that we will soon be exactly the next Zimbabwe if we're not careful. And this is exactly what I'm afraid of. Because what is going to happen here? This thing is going to just only increase in scale. You understand? It's going to scale up. Because if those people are successful in grabbing the land and nothing happens to them, what stops other guys in Eastern Cape, other guys somewhere in other parts of the country to do the same? There's nothing. And like especially if they also see a video like this that, well, everything is approved. Even serious people like yourself, for instance, also approve of that. You understand? They will say, it means we're on the right track here, so we need to grab more land. Now, can you imagine, Mitros, if this thing scales up? You understand? And look, and let me be honest with you. Whether you like it or you don't, the West is powerful. And we've seen this. They still hold the power. You like them, you don't like them, they have the power. Well, you have got a choice to say, okay, if they give us sanctions, exactly what happened to Zimbabwe. You see, Zimbabwe was saying the same thing. Mugabe said, yeah, we're now looking east, right? He said we're looking east. He looked east, but what happened? And the sad part is this, is that whether we believe it or we don't, the problem that I'm worried about is that the people who are going to suffer is the middle class. Pharmacists, the doctors, all those people who are going to suffer big time. And we won't have, in a country that is collapsing, in Zimbabwe, the people who are here, who ran away from Zimbabwe, nurses, teachers, they are here. They ran away because the country collapsed under the same policies. I'm not saying people must not have land. Don't get me wrong. People must have land. But we need to have some order. We must be organized. Things must be done in an organized fashion. There must be the rule of law. If we allow anarchy like that and we start having people running amok, grabbing land for themselves, then we end up like Zimbabwe. We all have ourselves to blame, honestly. And when you see something, if you look at something and you say, this thing, it walks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, I can tell you right now, it is a duck. You see? So already we can see the signs here that can easily lead us to a Zimbabwe situation. Now, the question is, what do we do, me and you? I'm not saying people must not have the land. Don't get me wrongly. And I don't think in South Africa there's a person who says people must not get the land. All of us will agree. people must get the land. Even white people, they agree. You see, but the thing is, we need to find a right way and a more organized way of making sure that the people have access to the land, not to go on emotions and excitement, and then, like you are saying correctly, so people start interpreting things, and then the government is not going to stop them. It's going to leave them and say, okay, maybe they misunderstood us, and then the other ones, they do exactly like that. Even Mugabe said the same thing when this thing was happening in Zimbabwe. He said, no, it's just a misunderstanding. Some people misunderstood what actually the government policy is. But the fact of the matter is that the land was taken from the white people. I'm not saying here, in this case, land is being taken from the white people. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, these are the things that are happening now. These are the signs that we're going somewhere. And I can tell you right now, I don't think that we're going to a better place. We're going somewhere. We're going to hell if we allow this to continue. But having said that, maybe you can just respond, and then we can move on to something else that you touched on. I want us to look at maybe the DA, and was you raised a very important issue here, that the DA is actually not pro people, and is actually is part of those people who actually supported the increase, or maybe they are part of the people who have. It was GNU anyway. We'll talk about that the vet issue, how it was handled, and so forth. And the DA is actually not pro people as well. But anyway, just to give you a chance to respond to what I've said.
Yeah. Okay. No, thank you, Pacos. I can see. For instance, I understand very well what you are saying, because more or less every professional, fundamentally the middle class fundamentally, and let me put it this way bluntly, fundamentally, the professionals, the middle class, are the most reactionary people. They are reactionary, counter-revolutionary, with self-interest, and undermine the masses, undermine the working class. Because fundamentally, let me just put it a scientific word to you. It interests me that the doctors, teachers, pharmacists, nurses, they have removed themselves from being the working class, because they are fundamentally, scientifically, they are working class. But the problem with them is that they hate the working class. They hate the status of the working class. And hence, their middle class, their strategy, in fact, they don't even have a strategy. To say they have a strategy is to give them a credit, a credit that is not worth giving to them. They are always on the fence. They are on the fence because they are opportunists. The reason why Zimbabwe is what it is exactly because the middle class are extremely reactionary and opportunist. They chose to run away because they're able to run away. Instead of grabbing the chances that the government had given them, to say, what do we need to do to develop Zimbabwe? And the unfortunate thing that happened in Zimbabwe, which nobody ever mentioned, is that unlawful, illegal sanctions were imposed on Zimbabwe. And illegal sanctions, the world, if it was a European country, the world would never have accepted it. But they accepted it because it's Africa. And I need to mention a few things that we have said, which I disagree with completely. The middle class do not play the role that they're supposed to play because they are reactionary. That's number one. Number two, Europe is not powerful. Europe is powerful because it exploits Africa. That's the fundamental thing. So the problem are politicians in Africa who are corrupt, who have accepted the resources of the continent to be used by Europe to abuse Africa. So Europe is not powerful at all. It's powerful because of the uselessness of African politicians. Look, for instance, I'll quote one country now where Ibrahim Traore, you see what he's doing? And that's what African leaders should have been doing for many, many years. Africa would be the most powerful country in the world. But as a socialist, I don't care about a country being one country being powerful. I am saying we fight for the international community to actually benefit on the resources of the world throughout the world. That is why, as internationalists, we say the working class internationally must take over, because the bourgeoisie internationally have failed over more than 150 years. They have failed to rescue society. But we are not looking of any country being a powerful country against other countries. We are saying the resources of the world must be shared to ensure that the international community, irrespective wherever they fund them, they are comfortable and they have a better healthcare, they've got better education so that they can further develop the world. That is our position. Now, that whatever I can tell you now, that if tomorrow I wake up and find that people in the Eastern Cape have taken the land that is lying, not being used there, I will celebrate that. But the fact that we need to do what we need to do, what you and me have to get in and not try to have our clean hands all the time. Let's get in and give direction. That we take this land, this is what we do. We take a land for agriculture, this is what we do. We take the land for accommodation, for housing, this is what we do. And we have the skills. But because of our attitude as the middle class of being reactionary, we just concentrate on our family, narrow families. As long as I'm safe with my family, I don't care. I can condemn those people because they are lazy. Everybody says the workers are lazy. Yet everything that is there, the cars, everything there, comes from the hands of the working class. The food that we eat comes from the laborers on the farms. But because our attitude is wrong, we continue to condemn this thing with everything that they do, and our life is better because of the working class. Whether we like it or not, it's a reality. It's a scientific based reality that if the workers all over the world tomorrow they can down tools, everybody's going to get hungry, and we're going to start condemning them and calling them all sorts of things. But that's the reality of life. And
Yeah, no.
over the years,
Yeah.
personally, over the years, as a
Yeah.
professional, I'm a pharmacist by training. But over the years, I have become convinced that until capitalism is smashed completely on the face of the world, there will never be peace. There will never be harmony. There will never be progress. There will be progress for few individuals, like people like Elon Musk, who are billionaires. But what do they do with their money? They abuse the world. They abuse information. They abuse everything and condemn everything. And they remain high there. Everybody wants to be Elon Musk because people don't understand that what is going on in the world. So our task remains is to build a revolutionary organization throughout the world to actually take over, smash capitalism once and for all on the face of the world, so that we must forget about talking about the middle class and this and this. We must talk about society, and then we can progress forward to communism. That is my position.
Yeah, no, I know. Thanks. Yeah, I know your position very well. Okay, but my position is very clear, and in terms of I'm part of the middle class. I don't like that word, but I think one finds himself there with that label. I'm a citizen of the world, but I know when somebody refers to a middle class, I know that person refers also to me. I don't know if maybe there's any other way of referring to me, because I am a citizen of the world. And in terms of hating the working class, I don't belong to that group. And in fact, I'm one of those people who believe that every person on planet Earth has got the potential which can be exploited. And you just have to give people a chance that they can prove themselves. But people need a platform, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. If you visit me in Davidton, in my training centers, training entrepreneurs, I'm training people for free. I'm training people who want to go out there, start their companies, security companies. Some people, they are running their businesses. I'm organizing finance. So I believe that there's a role that the so-called middle class can play in terms of making sure that each and every person who has got a potential can exploit his potential. I don't believe in a uniform society. Definitely, maybe can be called a bourgeoisie or whatever a person calls me. But I am a good capitalist. I regard myself as a good capitalist, and I will remain a good capitalist. And I'm one of those people probably who will also fight a system fight against the system that wants to dictate to people what they should do, how they should do it. So I think, to be honest with you, that's where me and the so-called Marxists we will always clash when it comes to telling me what to do. It will never happen. And then maybe let's come to this thing of product, who is productive, who is not productive. I believe people are productive in their various capacities. It's not everybody who can be a pharmacist. You are a pharmacist, but many people, they tried, they could not be. And it's not their fault. It's just how they were wired. It's how they were designed. It's not their fault. And it's not your fault as well that you became a pharmacist because you were able to understand physics, mathematics, and you passed it. And then you were accepted wherever you had to be accepted. It's not your fault. And the other thing is that the whole idea that we as the middle class were reactionary. Well, it's true. Of course, it may be true in some instances, but in some instances, it's not true because we are not the same as the middle class, the so-called middle class. Some of us who are doing quite a lot of things in our space, in what we can do within the limited resources that we have. And in terms of leading the people, I have started leading the people, and I know I'm not going to lead everybody. I've started this organization called Active Business and Civil Society, and we registered last year as a party for one good reason, because I said to myself, look, Nindlos, to be honest with you, all the things that I've listened to, I mean, I remember the first time I was very young, I think I was about 16, when I heard about socialism, communism, and so forth. I was excited. I said, this could be a very good system. This is nice. But let me tell you, as I grew up, when I arrived at university, I realized that hey, this thing is it's not easy to attain this thing. This thing is too complex. In fact, I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming the people who tried it. The experiment was tried, but it's one thing that I observed that is so difficult to implement. But on paper, it's the best thing you can ever have on planet Earth. I can tell you right now. On that one, I agree with you. You understand? There's no doubt. If we're to wake up one day, unfortunately, the people who implement these things, it's not the Mandelas, the people who have got a good heart. These are criminals who try and implement this thing. And before you know, we'll be slaughtered. I can tell you people who are slaughtered, they're trying to go and check what the statistics or the all these, the Stalins, the Maos, how many people they've killed. So I don't even want to go there. But what I can tell you, capitalism has never been forced down the throat of any person. You go there voluntarily, decide that I want to be a businessman, and they become a businessman. And survival of the fittest finish. But I don't hate, I don't like a capitalism that is bad capitalism. And by that, I mean capitalism that does not look after the workers. I hate that. I believe in fair play. I believe that a person who contributes his skills, his knowledge, whatever he contributes to a business, that person must be rewarded fairly. You understand? That I believe. I don't compromise on that one. But I can expect everybody to be a businessman? No. That everybody's going to be a worker? No. We're not the same. There are people who don't like working. I'm a lazy bugger. I hate working. I like using my brains. You understand? I don't like slavering somewhere. But there are people who don't mind, who enjoy it. Taking boxes and putting boxes there. They enjoy it. You'll never get me to do lifting of boxes. I'll never do that. I'd rather go and starve there playing my guitar and smoke my weed if I've got to smoke weed. But anyway, now this party that I started the party, we could not register last year. The whole idea is simple, and I'm going to state it, and I've stated it on many times, that in my view, what we need people to roll up their sleeves and start adding value in everything that we have available for them to add value in. Even to a point where I'm one of these people now, I'm going around, and I know many people, they don't like me for this. They say, no, I'm actually exposing people to exploitation. I was telling people, I say, if you want to learn anything on planet Earth, you have got to go out there and volunteer. Don't come there and say you have got a certain degree or a diploma and hope that somewhere you're going to have experience. People these days, they want somebody who can do something. If you can't do anything, who is going to employ you? We are living in a capitalist world, whether we like it or we don't. And coming to this idea that I understand where you're coming from when you say you don't care which country is powerful. It's like that. All the politicians, they say so, they don't care. You understand? The politicians, they don't care. You are big, we are not big, they don't care. We are a powerful economy, not. Our economy is 1.4% of the economy of the world. And you say, if someone says, no, I don't care about you. Hey, my brother, the unfortunate part is that we can suffer so much that we can actually regret that some of these guys existed. Because now the idea of what you call professionals or middle class being reactionary, because they are supposed to sit in a bad situation and start and try and make do out of whatever they have there. How do you start even staying in a place when you go to a shop, there's not even sugar? You are starving. You are staying in a country and you are educated and you are told, no, just assist the government in terms of implementing whatever program but you are hungry. There's no food. Tomorrow the children are asking you, Daddy, where's food? You are hungry. You can't mean those. That's not real. I'm telling you, will catch the next taxi, you will go to Joburg and start working as a doctor, as a pharmacist, because your country is down and out. Coming to this thing of sanctions, we know, yes, there was a disagreement. People reneged on the Lancaster House Agreement. But the fact that you disagree with the person, you don't run down everything, throw the baby away with the bathwater. You don't do that if you are a responsible leader. You must think about your people. Don't think about yourself. Mugabe never missed a meal, not even for a day. With or without the sanction, he never missed a meal. But the people of Zimbabwe, they lost everything. Everything. Even today, all these cronies, the Munangagwas, they are wealthy. They are exchanging gold. The people of Zimbabwe are the poorest. That's the sad part. And it comes from where? From where people say, no, we don't care. We can do it. It does not work like that. What actually works is that if you have problems with people, you sit down, you talk. Second thing that you do, you talk. Third thing you do, you talk. You keep talking. That's how it works. But the day you start coming with these radical moves, hey, you're going to pay the price. But it's not you who pays the price, the sad part. It's actually somebody else, and usually it's the middle class and the poor. There's no way the middle class will stay. I can tell you, if this country goes down, I'm the first person to ship out. Because if you tell me now, my surgery is closed, because people right now are suffering. What happened? COVID killed our businesses. After that, it was load shedding. Just the two. It killed my surgery. I went from seeing about making about 10,000 per day to making 500 rands per day. What do you call that? And imagine you are running a big family. We have got so many businesses, and you are relying on this practice to actually support your family. Suddenly, that thing happens. You understand? Now, at least I'm still better because it goes down to that level. At least I can survive. What if now people are so unemployed that nobody's coming, and the government cannot employ you? Now you are going to say, no, you're a middle class. You must be patriotic. Don't be a reactionary. What is reactionary? Because I've got a problem. I'm hungry myself. The children are hungry. What do? I ship out. You understand? It's as easy as that. So some of these things, they've got nothing to do with ideology. These are the realities that wake up in the morning, there is no food. It doesn't matter whether we are Marxist or we are a capitalist. Wake up in the morning, there's no food. And your ideology is not going to put food on the table, unfortunately. Something must put food on the table, and it's the economy of the country that should be that should enable you to put something on the table. Now, yes, I know that Mugabe was given a raw deal by the Blair and his friends, and then but I think he should have handled things differently. How I don't have the answer, but I think they could have just kept talking. Try to renegotiate deals and so forth. This is the same thing here. I think we need to start to look at me as a responsible citizen. My part, the part I'm playing now, in as much as I'm a capitalist, I'm playing a part where I want to have a powerful capitalist party. This is the party, Active Business and Civil Society Party. That here you see this T-shirt and this logo there. That's the party. It's a pro-capitalist party. It's a pro-business party. And I'm not apologetic about it. I'm not ashamed of it. I want it to succeed because its fundamental principles are sitting on one thing: fair play. If I am a good businessman, I have got to make sure that the first person to get a salary and a good salary in my company is my worker, is the person who is working. I'm the last person to be paid, but I want my worker, the one who's working for me, to get a good salary, and I want good benefits. I want all the good things that I would want for myself. But my employees, they understand. They are not like me. I'm different from them. The reason why I'm different is because I'm able to take the risk. I can postpone consumption. If I decide that I'm not going to drink for the next coming 6 months, I'm going to save, and I'm not going to eat a Nando's, I'm not going to eat spare, I'm going to save money. I save money to build my business. They understand that. And then they can go on and drink beer, eat Nando's, go and bribe. But me, I'm going to save, start a business, but I'm going to employ them. Once I employ them, I want their labor. They give me the labor, I compensate them fairly. But they cannot run businesses. That is clear, that one. So that's the kind of a party, Mina, that I'm building. I'm building a party that says to the people, without business, you don't have jobs. Because remember, what actually creates jobs is businesses. You cannot just have jobs overnight. Even government has got to create businesses to employ people. Government is running a business. Government, the country is a business, it's a bigger business. And it must be managed as such. As soon as it is not managed as such, I can tell you right now, we'll have nothing working. All these things that we see, ESCOM, these are businesses. Of course, some of the business, they should have a strategic positioning of saying, okay, we want to ensure that people are employed, they are trained, young people are trained and so forth. They should not be profit driven. But myself, my businesses are profit driven because I'm a private citizen. But the government can run businesses that are not running on profit, that are non-profit. It's fine. But I'm not going to run non-profit. I'm running profit because I pay tax, and on top of that, I employ people. And in that way, it's fair because I can do what I want to do. I don't want somebody to tell me, no, you can't run a business. You can't run a business. The government only is the one that can run a business. That, to me, is a no-go. But what I'm trying to say here, for the first time, I want this country to see a party that is clear, that is a capitalist party. It's a party that is out there to build successful businesses, to make sure that the people are trained, they participate, and then workers can even have shares in the business because they are bringing value to the business. And then they also have ownership in the business. And in that model, this is a model that one day even Musk will wait. Who's this guy? Marx. Yeah. It's Karl Marx will wake up one day and say, wow, this is beautiful and I love this, and maybe me and him will shake hands. And then lastly, with Elon Musk, Mindlos is laughing. With Elon Musk you're talking about, let me tell you, Elon Musk is not a bad that is making his money. He should not be condemned. A person who's making his money. Elon Musk did not kill anybody to make his money. And Elon Musk did not exploit anybody to make his money. He made his money because he's intelligent. Elon Musk, even our president, cannot come even a millimeter close to what Elon Musk has got in his brains. He's intelligent. And he's a genius. That's it. And if people don't like him, just he doesn't care. You don't have to like him anyway. There are many people who don't like him, but he didn't steal anybody's money. These politicians are stealing money from people. The people can point fingers at these politicians that we have here, but Elon Musk didn't steal anybody's money, and he has made his money, and he's using his money to change human life, to change how actually. Look at what is going to happen very soon, and I'll be there. I wish I can still live longer to be there. That I wish that one day we don't have to actually work. We want to wake up in the morning and have everything that we want. If you want the bread delivered, anything delivered by the robots on my doorsteps. Wanted to have in the farms. Want robots to be working there. Everything it must just be given to human beings. We must just play our guitars, sing music, and have some beer, go reading some books somewhere in the morning. That is what Karl Marx would wake up and smile to. Because then he would say, wow, I never thought that these guys can achieve exactly the same thing that I wanted, but the other way. That's what we call the other route. Now, so that I'm a dreamer. I'm a person who dreams that way, to say, one day I'll go play golf. When I come back, I find my food is ready. It was prepared by a robot and everything. And then I eat. I just leave the dishes there. And then the robot washes the dishes. That's the life. That's the kind of life that we want. You understand? We don't want to work. Who wants to work? Unless maybe, look, it's very surprising, just in closing. I'll give you a chance to close as well. It's surprising to me that actually people want to work. And the more we're advancing technological. People, they want to work. They want a democracy at work, a workplace. No, actually, people should be fighting, not to work. They should be saying, no, man, let's advance this technology so that we can stop working. And then we can just sit and talk near like every day like this. You understand? So this is one thing that I'm saying, no, man. There's something wrong with us as human beings. We want to work when actually we're supposed just to stop working. So Elon Musk didn't do anything wrong. And he's advancing humanity. And I believe that with the work that he is doing, human beings are going to be better off soon. But anyway, we are just about to come to the end of our time now. I'll just give you a few seconds just to wrap up, and then, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Bakos. Yeah, you have said a lot. Now I'm saying you want to give me a few seconds. I just want to correct you a few things. You know,
Yeah,
On Elon
yeah,
Musk,
yeah.
you quite clearly you have not read Marx.
No, no, no. Just tell me what you are telling me. Yeah, yeah.
This is exactly
Tell
what
me.
Marx wanted.
Because the
Marx,
time is, yeah, yeah.
yeah, Marx wanted exactly that.
Yeah,
That
it's fine.
fundamentally,
Yeah,
as technology advances, they must
yeah,
cut hours of work up to a
yeah.
point where human beings don't have to work, but the
Exactly.
technology to work. That is Karl Marx. So whatever
Yeah,
Elon Musk is doing is that's what
yeah,
Marx. You see, and that's what that's why I always say to people, Marx, to me, remains the greatest philosopher and the greatest revolutionist of all times. Marx.
yeah,
Because what you are saying now, that's exactly what Marx said, and that's what exactly Marx wanted. That
yeah. That's
because
good.
he knew that nobody wants to work, it's a
Yeah,
reality.
yes,
Understand? But people want to enjoy life.
yeah.
That's why he spoke about leisure time and all that. To him, those
That's
things were very important.
yeah,
And also, uh, I have no problem. You committed to capitalism. That is fine. But the fact of the matter is that it is the socialists who must prove that what they are fighting for is correct by winning the people. Let me just summarize now to you that the biggest problem the communist world, the communist movement faces is the question of the non-Marxist socialists, the non-Marxist communists, and the Stalinists, like you have spoken about the Mao's murdering people. And those are the three people that are a problem in the socialist movement. So, and as long as that crisis remain, which I believe the biggest crisis that is in the communist movement is the thoughts of the non-Marxist socialists, the non-Marxist communists, and the Stalinists. That is what we need to resolve, because they are quite clearly, they don't understand what social, and that's why you're saying, you're talking about politicians stealing and all that. And that has got nothing to do with communism. Communism attacks exactly that culture of bourgeois politics, that we want communities to decide what that's why we specifically talk about the end of government, because the government is there because of classes. And we think that as long as there are classes, there must be government, because a government is there to suppress the lower class. You understand? And the government is there, the state is there for the interest of the ruling class. But it appears to many people that the state is neutral, and the state has never been neutral. The state is there to arbitrate, to arbiter between the ruling class and the working class. That's what is there. And as long as the classes are there, it will continue to be there. And therefore, in our next talk, I want us to talk about the state, the origin of the state, and the way forward for a socialist order. I have no problem with your commitment, and I wish your party a good luck. I hope it wins, it brings a better life. But I, for one, will continue to fight for, because I don't think there's anything better than, unless when we're in a communist state, we can see something better that Marx didn't see. But for now, so far as I'm concerned, there's nothing better in terms of social system that is above communism. I think communism is the best that we can fight for, and that's why all my life I've committed myself to that. And but I appreciate the invitation,
Yeah.
and
No, thanks, Bildos. No, thanks a lot,
I
Bildos. Thanks for giving me your time.
yeah,
We're gonna continue with this. I really love. I really enjoy discussing with you, because you really put me on my toes, and I love that. And I guess that people who will be listening to this video will also enjoy your contributions. And yeah, and then we'll have another session. Thanks very much, Bildos. Thanks.
thank you, Bakos. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Yes.
Okay, thanks, brother.
Because
Bye.
for me,